Welcome back, you epic souls. Thank you for joining me. My name's Sean. I'm with Follow Your Path. Thanks for being on this channel. Just out here in beautiful Montana, and I got something that I want to share with you today, straight from the heart, as always. Have you ever had a time where you go on a hike or you go out for a walk and you have a rock in your shoe? You have a pebble, something in your shoe, and instead of just stopping and taking it out so you can go back to feeling comfortable again and feeling what it's like to not have a rock in your shoe, you just keep going. And I'll get it down the line, I'll get it in a minute. And then you keep walking, and then pretty soon you get comfortable with that rock in your shoe and you settle for it. And that becomes your new baseline. And I love that analogy for us in this life, in this journey, because so many of us are walking around with rocks in our shoes that we've settled for. Versions of ourselves that are metaphorical rocks in the shoe that we have settled for. And yet we have that same intuitive voice that's like, hey, take the rock out of your shoe. What are you doing? Take the rock out of your shoe so you can feel what it's like to be back in the comfort, to be back in the place before you got the rock in the shoe, right? And so to me, those rocks are fear. Those rocks are insecurity. Those rocks are caring about what other people think about you. Those rocks are judging yourself. Those rocks are beating yourself up, which also goes into judging yourself. My point is, where we are right now in the story, this is the time right now to take the rocks out of your shoe. This is the time to move from by the way, what I'm about to say, like, really take this in, because this, with all of the clients that I work with and in my own experience, I find this inner statement to be one of the most toxic, detrimental, soul-killing, heart-closing statements that you tell yourself, that we tell ourselves. And that is, I don't know how. I don't know how. The problem with that is that you just happen to be an infinite creator. And when you tell yourself that, which is just really your ego guarding you, trying to keep you from going into the unknown or the next level or a place that's vulnerable where, maybe you're going to start putting stuff out into the world that could be judged, that could be ridiculed, that could be rejected, that are the last things that your ego wants to experience. So it will say things like, I don't know how to get out of my 9-to-5 job. I don't know how to connect with people. I don't know how to make friends. I don't know how to manage my time properly. I don't know how to overcome these obstacles that maybe I've dealt with for a long time. Right? And then so that I don't know how ripples out into the fabric of the unified field, the quantum field, the field of possibilities. And mirrored back to you is, he doesn't know how. She doesn't know how. And therefore, you keep getting the reality of, I don't know how. Now, when you recognize or even entertain the possibility that you are an infinite creator and you're here to create, like, that's and express who you are. Most people aren't doing that, and so they find themselves in deep depression, and they're locked into the basement, like I talk about in other videos. They're locked into that egoic identity where it's just very condensed, small levels of possibility and a perception that is like I've said also in other videos, it's like you're living in a tiny shell, but yet you're a hermit crab that's just like expanded so much, but you're like in this pressurized, like, tiny space that you won't let yourself get out of because maybe you don't believe that there's a bigger house for you. You don't believe that there's something better. And it's not you that believes that. It's the part of you that just wants to stay in survival, and it wants to be in the status quo. So I make these videos and I share my journey with you because you know it as well as I do. It's time right now at this point to look at all of it, be the observer. Look at the places where you say, I don't know how. And begin to play with, and I'll always say play with because that takes some gravity out of it and it's easier for the ego to accept. Because you got to get that thing on board with you. You got to, a big part of this game is allowing your ego to start feeling safe. Let me give you an example of that I think is really important. And I've talked about this, I think, at other times, but I had a massive healing around rejection in relationships earlier this year. And previously, I had been devastated by rejections my entire life. I felt like any time that I put myself out there or expressed how I was feeling towards, in this case, a person, it was never met. And so I created a story of to never do that again because it hurt so much. And this time around, when that opportunity came, because life is only going to give you opportunities to heal that wound, the universe is going to put a spotlight on the thing that is blocking or dimming your light, that is in the way of your expression, of your beauty that you are radiating, knowing who you truly are. It's going to put a spotlight on that, and it's going to keep that front and center to give you the most opportunity to overcome it and go and get beyond it, which you do by re-seeing the thing through a higher perspective of love, where you bring it into unity. The eyes that are seeing the circumstance that's unfolding are now coming from a place of you're not in it. You're not taking it personally, right? So what happened was the rejection came, and because of the work that I had been doing on myself, I could literally see in real time as it was unfolding the wounded part of me that was so hurt and had gone back through time space to the past and started comparing it to the other times that had happened. And that version of me during those times didn't have an outside perspective of truth. And so it got crushed. It got devastated, right? That identity that I had. And while that was happening, I got to, from my soul level, hold that part of me. I got to talk to him. I got to tell him what he needed to hear, which was the truth, which is that he was loved and that only he can reject himself, and that this is an amazing thing that's happening, and that we can open up and you can be proud of yourself for the fact that you were vulnerable and that you expressed the way that you were feeling, because that's the way that you want to live, instead of avoiding and going within yourself and being afraid. So I did that, and I swear to you, within just a few minutes, boom, that was out of my nervous system. And that was because my ego started to feel this sense of, whoa, you mean to tell me that we're not going to get crushed by that anymore? Like, I don't have to suffer from that. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to try to protect myself from that. I can actually open to love without the fear of being absolutely devastated like I had for basically the whole time. And it starts to breathe, and then its clutch on the gas or on the steering wheel lessens, and that's called integration. So the more that you can recognize that here in your now space, you're choosing, you're creating all the time in your now moment here, right here, and your ego starts to see that you're now actually here with it. You're there to whisper the truths. You're there to hold it. You're there to protect that part of you like a good parent. That's evolution. That's where we're going. So back to the I don't know how. it's going to stop doing that so much. And what that will shift into is a healed inner child. A child, because when you were a kid, did you ever say, I don't know how to play, I don't know how to create this, I don't know how to make this block building? No, you just did it. You were just in the flow, you were in your imagination, you had the idea, and you're like, okay, let's create it. And there is no thought of I don't know how. So the inner child healing is pivotal. People try to sidestep that because they don't get it, especially men, in my experience, and for myself as well. So shifting the I don't know how into I can. I choose to, and I create. Whatever that is. Let's say, because I was once in the 9-to-5 corporate world, miserable, knowing within me that I was an infinite soul on this cosmic journey. What the fuck am I doing in an office? And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, there's some cool jobs out there that have that, environment. And I have some friends that are in those environments, and it's great for them. But if you're watching this video and you know that's not for you, then I'm talking to you. You don't hate that you're in that scenario. You simply look at it and you say, I'm ready for something more. I'm ready for the next step, the next phase of this story. I'm ready to receive that next chapter. I'm open to receiving it. I'm excited about it. And you start to take a deeper dive within yourself and ask the questions. What is it that I would love to contribute to humanity while we go through this massive, ridiculous, crazy, wild shift where everything's breaking down for the new stuff to come in that you know that you're a part of as a light worker, as an old soul. And you look at what your life has demonstrated, right? You look at what your life has shown you, the things that you've struggled with, the events that have occurred, the circumstances that have shaped who you are. You look at those and they tell a story. They tell your story. They point you to where you're meant to go, who you're meant to help, who you're meant to be a guide for others who are going through that similar thing, as well as the things that you're the most excited about, the things that you're the most passionate about, the things that light you up the most, the things that you're interested in. And you start to put your focus on those things as you start to identify them. And as you do that, your subconscious, your reticular activation system will do a flip, and it will start to then look for other things that start to connect the pieces of this puzzle. And now you're in creation mode. Now you're in, your inner child is free and having a good time. They're back in play. Because they're not feeling like a beaten down adult that's always stressed out, that's not where they want to be, that doesn't know how. You want to stop the echo of that as soon as you can, because that's fucking you up. And it's a creation that you don't realize you're doing, sending out, getting more of it back. And that is only a trap of the ego, because it's known that for so long and it wants to stay in the prison. And it's not a bad thing that it does. It's just what it knows. And it's like, the factory worker that's been doing this mechanical job for 25 years where he just numbs out and he, clocks in, clocks out, and that's it. Goes home, gets dinner, and has just settled for that. He has submitted to that, which is what the system wants people to be in. They want you to be submissive and just go clock in and then get out and watch some TV and have some dinner and then go to bed and do it all over again. And then guess what? You get to retire someday. We know that's a bullshit story. And it's so funny to your spirit when you start to really know who you are. Like that, the idea of that, the American dream, it's like, wow, they really got us with that. The programming, the level of psychological manipulation, like, I tip my cap every time. They're very good at that. So, but that's only that setup was only there so that we could play the game of breaking ourselves out of that. And that's what my generation and other generations are here to do. It's part of the game. Can you get yourself out of that prison system, which is in you, which is programming, which is conditioning, and start to put yourself in your own trance, your own conditioning of your choosing? Instead of letting your energy get shaped and molded and your attention getting shaped and molded by things outside of you, you take it all back and you go, all right, where am I putting this now? Where do I choose to put this? To me, that looks like I'm really interested in having an experience of well-being. I want to be around people that are interesting, that are fun to talk to, that are open-minded, that we can share ideas and that we can make the world a better place, and we enjoy the time spent with one another. There's things being created. There's collaboration. I enjoy being in nature and exploring and having adventures and having new experiences and trying new things and walking outside, going downtown, going anywhere, and just being in a place of presence and experiencing what life is offering me, which was something that I never wanted to do before because I was so within myself, having an internal experience of me. As I've mentioned, you're down in the basement, and that's just such a small part of you. That's so far away from who you are. And you know that. You know that. I don't need to tell you. I make these videos because my soul keeps ringing the bell very loudly, and it's like, hey, we're all at that point. It's a big wake-up call where enough of us are shining and anchoring in that light from the solar energies that are coming in, and through that embodiment and through that grounding of that energy, we're literally shifting the grid lines of this earth, the grid lines that stored information from the past history that would then play itself out again through conflict and, you know, the painful emotions from those horrible circumstances and experiences that have happened in this country and in other parts of the world. And we don't even realize we're just looping and playing it all out again and again. And now there's new energies that are cycling through that we get to put our hand up and say yes to. I will be an antenna for higher consciousness. I will be an antenna for a light that is beaming new possibility for higher potentials to unfold on this planet. And it starts with me. It starts with me overcoming my silly bullshit, my egoic fears and the constraints that I've come into this game with to overcome. If you can start to see it as a game, then it becomes more fun and more enjoyable. And it's not so much this like dense work, right? Like we say, do the work in spiritual communities and self-development and in the healing world. And there's a density to that. If like, yes, it is, you could say work, but it's more commitment, and it's more of, it feels like work because you got used to doing things in a certain way for so long. And so it can be challenging to, in the face of your biology, shift your energy in a new direction. So with that being said, my wonderful humans, it is an honor to be at this point of the story with you. And we are just getting started. You are just getting started. Imagine for a moment, because it's right here already. There's a parallel you right here that's already made the choice, that's already gone a new direction, where there never again is how do I? There never again is when will it happen? The conviction of here's the direction I'm going, here's what I'm creating, and allowing the power of your beautiful, brilliant, cosmically designed mind, brain, to come on board and start to support you and look for the pieces, do that RAS flip, and start to scan the environments to help you because you've shifted your focus to I can, I choose, and I create. And there's nothing that can stop that because I know who I am now. That, if we're all doing that together, that's a big win. That's what I help my clients do. That's what I do for myself every day. I remind myself of these things. I watch videos like this, and I, more importantly, create videos to help me anchor this in and share it, because it's important to share things from your soul, from what's about what's important to you. This is important to me. This is what I love. I'm out here in this beautiful land. You know, you might find too that you're called to move to a new location. You're being uprooted. You're outgrowing the space that you've been in, and let yourself be open to adventure. I never would have imagined that I would live in Montana, coming from Boston after living in California and Arizona for 5-6 years. Here I am, and this nature has helped me so much to ground in my soul, to make this transition, this shift. And you'll know. Trust it. You'll be brought exactly where you need. The earth is moving people around. She's very intelligent. She knows what she's doing. She's moving people to places, moving energies around to allow for those higher potentials to come in, for the lands to heal, right? Because we're antennas, and communities are forming and sending that light down into the grid. And it's all happening right now, and it's inevitable. It can't be stopped, no matter what level of darkness you see out there. That's just old shit clearing out. So I really love this transmission out here and doing these in nature. So thank you for joining me. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Much love. Oh, peace within is peace without.